The very public private meeting. Donald Trump and Keir Starmer meet at Turnberry. Everything from humanitarian aid in Gaza to his love for Scotland up for discussion.
You know, it's different. You go to another country, you have no relationship to it. You got to like maybe the head of the country or something. But it's different when your mother was born here, Stornoway.
The President has now left Turnberry and is travelling here to Aberdeenshire. He's due to land at the Menny estate in the next hour.
Mr. Trump, go home! Mr. Trump, go home!
Nearly 100 protesters marched on Balmedy Beach this afternoon to voice their opposition to the President's arrival. And we'll have the latest on the independence debate as the First Minister sets out his plans to secure another referendum. Good evening, I'm Andrea Breimer. This is the STV News at 6, live from Trump International on the Menny estate in Aberdeenshire. Good evening from the Menny estate in Aberdeenshire. We're live on the 18th hole at Trump International, where President Donald Trump is due to arrive shortly aboard Marine One. Earlier today, the President spent time at his Turnberry golf resort, where he held private talks with the Prime Minister. At a press conference afterwards, Mr. Trump spoke warmly of his affection for Scotland, but steered clear of commenting on a potential second independence referendum. International issues also feature prominently at the briefing that lasted well over an hour. Our political editor Colin was there and reports now on the meeting between the two leaders.
We all know President Trump's links to Scotland. He never tires of telling us about his mother from the Western Isles and about the golf courses he's visiting today.
I love this country. My mother was born in, as you know, my mother was born in Scotland.
This is supposed to be a private visit, but it's probably the most public private visit ever, with the world's press gathered for the Prime Minister's meeting at Turnberry, where the two were discussing the US-UK trade deal.
We got a deal done that has not been able to be done.
Really good deal for both of our countries, and very, very well received here in the United Kingdom.
So thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mr. President, you say you love Scotland. You're the most Scottish president ever in the White House. Because of your love of Scotland, is there a better trade deal to be done for Scottish businesses like whisky?
Well, I assume when we do our trade deal overall, a lot of it comes to Scotland, I hope. Maybe all of it should go to Scotland.
It's a very good deal for the whole United Kingdom, and we've already achieved great things out of the deal, and we'll achieve even more as we work together.
Mr. President, can you tell us?
A lot of it is going to Scotland. I mean, I do know that, but I mean, we're dealing with the UK. But a lot of it comes to Scotland. And, you know, I was very particular. This is a part of the world I want to see thrive.
On international events, President Trump threatened Russia with sanctions in 10 or 12 days unless they agree a ceasefire in Ukraine. But the main focus on foreign policy right now is getting humanitarian aid to Gaza.
We want to get the children fed. We made a contribution a week ago of $60 million, all going into food. We only hope the food goes to the people that need it.
Humanitarian aid needs to get in at speed, at volume. Yes, some could be airdropped, and we're working with others, with the US, with Jordan on that, but the trucks need to get in because that's the only way you can get the volume in. And we do thank the President for the work he's done to try to get to a ceasefire, which we desperately need.
Inevitably, because they were meeting in Scotland, there was a question about independence.
Well, I don't want to get involved in your politics. We got enough politics of our own. I don't know the First Minister, but I've heard great things about him. I've spoken to him. I hear very good things about him, and I'm meeting him today. So maybe I'll have a better opinion then.
And let me answer that straightforwardly, because I believe in a stronger Scotland, in a better United Kingdom. And I think that at a time like this, when it's quite clear that there's uncertainty and volatility around the world, the strength of the United Kingdom together is very important for all four nations.
The two leaders clearly get on well enough to work around differing views on issues like wind power.
When we go to Aberdeen, you'll see some of the ugliest windmills you've ever seen. They're the height of a 50-story building. So it's a very expensive energy, it's a very ugly energy, and we won't allow it in the United States.
So we believe in a mix, and obviously oil and gas is going to be with us for a very long time.
All of this was before the two had even had their official meeting today, and before heading to Aberdeenshire together on Air Force One, where they'll be able to see those windmills from President Trump's new golf course.
Well, Colin joins us now live. So what was it like today then, Colin, with the President and the Prime Minister?
Andrea, what we've seen over the last few days here at Turnberry is the travelling court of Trump, where political leaders have turned up here. Prime Minister today, the European Commission President yesterday, to pay tribute to the President. Now, what I was at today was a bit like one of those Oval Office press conferences, but it was in the ballroom here at Turnberry. Now, to be honest, most of today for me was about hanging about, because none of these things ever run to time. There was about 12 US media travelling in Air Force One with the President. They were paying $20,000 for the privilege. Now, alongside them, there's a few Westminster journalists, a few Scottish ones, including myself there. I must add, we didn't pay a thing for that. But the press conference was mostly Donald Trump telling us all he knew about everything we asked, pretty much. The Prime Minister got a few words in edgeways, but not that many. They took an hour of questioning, and at times, to be honest, the President came across as a bit of a bore. Until we got till the end as well, where it ended with a few questions about the Jeffrey Epstein row, which is a big issue in the States at the moment, which the President himself declared to be a hoax.
And Colin, there was a lot of politics in there too, wasn't there?
Absolutely. As you heard in my report there was the stuff about the Russian president, the warnings to Russian President Putin that he's got 10 to 12 days to come up with a ceasefire in Ukraine. On Gaza, strong words from both the President and the Prime Minister, but that won't feed the starving children. The President is still a big backer of Israel. Tonight the President will host a dinner at Many, where you are, for the Prime Minister and the First Minister. The First Minister's hoping for a one-to-one meeting with the President tomorrow. He'll bring up the whisky tariffs. He's a bit surprised that when I asked the President today, he suggested that he wasn't particularly aware of that as an issue. Well, he is now. And then the First Minister and Scottish Labour leader Anas Sarwar will be at the official opening of President Trump's new golf course tomorrow. But Andrea, you're there ahead of them.
Yeah, indeed I am. I'll see you here tomorrow, Colin. Thanks very much for that. Well, as Colin did say, the focus of the President's trip and the massive security operation that comes with it has now moved north here to Aberdeenshire, where he is set to officially open his second golf course here at the Many Estate in honour of his Scottish mother, Mary Ann MacLeod. Well, Stephen Brown is here with me now. Stephen, as Colin was saying, things never run to time. He was due to have arrived earlier, but we are expecting quite an arrival when he does get here.
Yeah, we know that he's arrived at Lossmouth in Air Force One. I think we'll keep looking to the skies to see when he might actually arrive, but it'll be quite a sight when he does helicopter in here, and we understand he will have that dinner tonight with the Prime Minister, the First Minister. We also understand potentially the golfer Colin Montgomery and other dignitaries will be in attendance there. Now, we know that Donald Trump has his supporters around here. Some people believe that he's brought a real economic boost to the region, but we also know there have been real protests as well in the last few days in places like Aberdeen. Today again having protests just a mile or two away from here. There's a large security cordon, as you would imagine, a number of protesters gathering. They believe that we shouldn't be paying for this visit, and they don't believe that Donald Trump should be welcomed here by either the Prime Minister or the First Minister.
He should not be here. We as the Scottish taxpayers should not be paying for policing this event.
He's a liar, he's a narcissist, and it's about time we stop pandering to him.
I mean, I just object to all that he stands for, the erosion of people's rights within his country, coming here, spending my taxes on his security.
I think it reflects really badly on our government that we're welcoming him here.
He's a slightly undesirable chap. And he basically just needs to become a bit more decent about it. There's a lot of decent people in this world looking for decent leadership. He's not providing it.
I think he should keep his nose out of world politics and go back to America.
Stephen, as we did say, the focus though turns to tomorrow, and the main reason Donald Trump has come to Scotland. Talk us through the next 24 hours or so.
Yes, because at the heart this is a private visit, so tomorrow we expect the President will tee off and he will open the new course, potentially playing that with his son Eric. We believe a number of celebrities, both in and outside of golf, will be in attendance as well to try and open that second course. Now, of course, we are expecting the President to arrive very soon, and he will have dinner tonight with the First Minister. He will meet with the First Minister tomorrow, then he will go off to Washington, back home to Washington, before of course he comes back to the UK in September, when there is that state visit that he'll be entertained by the King for a couple of days at Windsor in September.
OK, Stephen, thank you very much for that. Well, that's it from Trump International on the Many estate for now. For the rest of the day's news and sport, I hand you back to the studio.
Well, we've heard Donald Trump and Sir Keir Starmer talking about independence. Earlier, Scotland's First Minister said an SNP majority at next year's Holyrood election is the only way to secure another referendum. John Swinney was speaking before he travelled to meet the American president. Our senior reporter Gordon Cree's been following this. Gordon, why is he saying this now?
Well, Susan, in recent years, support for the SNP has been falling. Indeed, the party is less popular than the level of support for independence. So the strategy could well be to try and reinforce a link between voting for them and the chance of another referendum, essentially saying to independent supporters who might be thinking about backing another party to vote for the SNP. John Swinney's pitch is surely another majority couldn't be ignored.
That's what I'm going to say to independent supporters and to others in Scotland at the forthcoming election, that we have an opportunity to move Scotland forward, to break the logjam that we face on the independence question by electing a majority of SNP MSPs to the Scottish Parliament that worked in the past to secure a referendum and will work in the future to do likewise.
And Gordon, it's a tough target to reach.
Yes, only once in the 26 years of devolution and the 6 Holyrood elections has any party ever won an outright majority. The voting system makes it impossible almost to do. That was the SNP in 2011, and of course it led to a referendum. Now, to get a majority would need 65 seats in Parliament. That would be going against the polling, which points to the SNP losing seats rather than gaining. And of course, a referendum would have to be agreed by the UK government. There's no sign of that being likely. Indeed, Labour and the Conservatives today have said this is all about John Swinney simply trying to appease his own supporters. Susan.
Gordon in Edinburgh, thank you. An attempted murder investigation has been launched after a man was seriously injured in Aberdeen. Police were called to a disturbance last night in Eric Henry Park in which an XL bully dog died. Officers say they're still trying to trace everyone involved. Fraser Nicholl has more.
A police cordon was in place on Aberdeen's Devon Road throughout today, with officers standing guard nearby in the city's Eric Henry Park. At around 8:30 last night, officers were called to reports of a vehicle being within the park and a disturbance taking place. An XL bully dog died as a result, while a 51-year-old man was injured and attended Aberdeen Royal Infirmary for treatment. Hospital staff have described his condition as serious but stable. Police have launched an investigation into what happened and say they are now treating the incident as attempted murder. They say their inquiries are at an early stage and that efforts are still being made to trace everyone involved. Anyone in the area at the time or who saw what happened is being urged to come forward. Fraser Nicholl, STV News.
Counter-terrorism police are reviewing online footage as a 41-year-old man has appeared in court charged over a disturbance on a flight bound for Glasgow. Police boarded the EasyJet aircraft, which had departed from Luton shortly after 8 a.m. yesterday after it landed at Glasgow Airport. Footage, which appears to show a man on board a plane shouting "Death to America, death to Trump" and "Allah Akbar," is being assessed. Inquiries are ongoing. Police say a fire at a flat in Dundee, which has left 2 women with serious injuries, was started deliberately. Detectives are hunting 2 men who were seen when the blaze broke out in the early hours of Sunday. 4 fire crews and a high-reach appliance were sent to the scene. Lynn Rankin has more.
Firefighters were called to this 4-storey block of flats at 1:40 yesterday morning. The blaze was well alight when crews arrived, with flames being seen bursting through the windows. 2 women aged 22 and 28 were taken to Ninewells Hospital to be treated for serious injuries. Police say the fire was deliberate and say they're looking to speak to 2 men who were seen in the area of Watson Street at the time of the fire, heading in the direction of Baxter Park. They are described as wearing dark clothing with their hoods up. A number of neighbouring properties were evacuated. Many were woken to the sounds of screaming and scenes of chaos. Today, the burnt-out shell of the top floor flat shows the severity of the fire. Police continued to guard the property today with burnt debris strewn on the ground outside. Detectives say they want to speak to anyone who was in the area at the time of the fire who may have seen something. They're also appealing for anyone with CCTV or dashcam footage to get in touch. Lynn Rankin, STV News.
A tribunal has heard that the nurse at the centre of an NHS gender row allegedly made derogatory remarks about a transgender doctor. Nurse Sandy Peggy was suspended after she complained about having to share a changing room with Dr Beth Upton at Victoria Hospital in Kirkcaldy. Nurse practitioner Fiona Wishart said she'd forgotten details but was told Miss Peggy referred to Dr Upton as weirdo, freak and it. Well, it's time for all the sport now with Chris.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Summer Sale.
Thanks, Susan. Good evening, everyone. Now, Aberdeen have resumed talks to sign AC Milan striker Marko Lazetic on a permanent transfer after pulling out of a loan deal back in January. Well, the 21-year-old spent most of his time on loan in Austria, Netherlands and his home country Serbia in recent seasons, and the Dons are hoping to strike a deal to bring the 6'4" striker to Pataudry for a small fee but with a hefty sell-on percentage for Milan. The Italian giants signed Lazetic from Red Star Belgrade for almost €5 million back in 2022, but the Serbia under-21 strikers only played for the Rossoneri a handful of times. Now, the Scottish FA's head of referees, Willie Colin, says he can guarantee Scottish refs are not corrupt. Colin was responding to a claim former Rangers and Dundee player John Brown made live during a commentary. In an interview with STV Sport, Collins also backed calls for goal line technology to be introduced, while revealing referee decisions could be communicated to fans inside stadiums come the new Premiership season. He was speaking to Raman Bardwaj.
On the final weekend of last season, the decision not to award Rangers a goal against Hibs after the ball had crossed the line incensed the Ibrox club. So much so, former Rangers defender John Brown described the officiating as corrupt. The head of referees had this response.
I don't think there's any corruption in Scottish football. I don't think our officials are corrupt. Absolutely not. I'm guaranteeing everybody that, because I wouldn't be sitting here if that was the case. Our referees are like any referees, they'll make mistakes. What I'm guaranteeing everybody is when mistakes are made, that we're always trying to improve on those mistakes, always, but there's no corruption in Scottish refereeing.
After that game at Easter Road, Willie, Rangers questioned the effectiveness of VAR and also called for the introduction of goal line technology. Can that ever happen? Will that ever happen in Scottish football?
We would be very open to it. We understand the financial constraints because goal line technology is very, very expensive. People might look at it and say, how often would you use it as well? Because, for example, the Hibs-Celtic decision, it wouldn't have helped. Certainly the Hibs-Rangers decision, it would have helped because it's a goal-mouth decision.
Will the money be there for it to be introduced?
That would be a decision out with refereeing. It's not a decision that we would make. We, of course, get financial support about VAR from the clubs, so that would be a decision that the clubs would have to make. What I'm saying is that in terms of refereeing, we would be in favour of goal line technology.
And Colin has told STV Sports Scottish football could be set to follow other countries.
After review, Dominic Solanke was in an offside position in the build-up to the goal.
with the referees communicating decisions to spectators inside the stadium.
We've had discussions with the clubs about that. We would be very keen for it. We think it's the way forward. It's another element of transparency. It's another element which supports some of the difficulties we've had is the in-stadium experience. We think that would certainly support that. Whereas if a long check was going on, the referee would be able to communicate in the stadium what's happening. I'm saying there's a possibility it could happen again
next season.
This coming season.
Yeah.
Yes, we could see it if we get the support from the clubs financially. We would be able to implement that. We'd need a period of time to train, but I'm not ruling that out.
Well, Colin, thanks very much for speaking to STV.
Thank you.
Yeah, goal line technology, almost £250,000 per stadium, $3 million in all. Now, a change of sport. It has sparked a dream. The words of Scotland's Oscar Onley after finishing 4th overall in the Tour de France yesterday. Well, the 22-year-old's performance equals the best ever result by a Scot in the Tour, and the rider who set that mark more than 40 years ago believes Onley can step up to the next level and challenge the world's best. Here's Jamie Borthwick.
3 gruelling weeks on the most famous road race of them all, and Oscar Onley took the acclaim of the Champs-Élysées, 4th place in the general classification on just his 2nd Tour de France.
It's a really big moment in my career. I don't really realise it yet, but I think just from talking to other riders in the bunch, I think, going forward now we have something to build on and an exciting project for the future, and it's definitely sparked a bit of a dream, I guess. To be honest, I've never even thought about a top 5 in the Tour before, so to get it on my first try in GC is quite something, and excited for the future.
Onley's achievement is the best since Robert Miller finished 4th in 1984. Now known as Philippa York, the legendary Scottish road racer believes the 22-year-old can set his sights on closing the gap on leading stars Jonas Vingegaard and the reigning champion Tadej Pogačar.
Since he's been in the front of the race and you've seen him, where the other riders are in terms of a level and what they can do, he can go away and work on the things that he's not quite there yet. So probably, for him to kind of step up to the next level is probably a 2-year project. I'm so glad that somebody comes along, and I just hope that he betters what I did.
This was a summer where the man from Kelso surprised his team, himself, and the rest of the cycling world. After soaking up the applause in Paris, Oscar Onley is ready to climb even higher. Jamie Borthwick, STV Sport.
Yeah, what a fabulous achievement. Well, this week we'll have the very best of the build-up to the big kick-off this weekend, starting with Ross County tomorrow. Do join us then.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Summer Sale.
Welcome back here to the Many Estate. Well, tomorrow is the opening of the new course here, and as you heard, the President will be opening that golf course himself. But what will the weather be like? Here's Sean with the details.
Midday Mayan temples, followed by sunny afternoons on the sand. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Very good evening to you. Now, if you're wanting the mid to high 20s to return, it's going to be a wee while yet because the hot weather is now across southern parts of Europe. We're in this cooler north to northwesterly flow, like last week, and a bit more showery as well, but still feeling decent enough in the sunshine. But if you are wanting those higher temperatures back, probably the second week of August, most of the weather models are just showing a bit of a warming trend into August, so we could see that warmer weather heading back our way in a couple of weeks. Now, for the time being, overnight tonight, any showers you've still got easing away. It's dry with clear spells through the night. Quite a cool one as well. Temperatures maybe down to about 7 or 8 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow morning we've got a bit more cloud and the risk of some showery outbreaks of rain. There's a weather front across western parts, it's going to be pretty damp for them, but here we just get maybe just a few showers early on. Generally tomorrow for us is largely dry with bright or sunny spells, probably the best of the cloud breaks tending to be further east across Angus and also eastern parts of Fife. And top temperatures, again, we're one of the top spots, up to about 19 or 20 degrees Celsius. So yes, we're not the mid to high 20s, but still feeling nice enough in the sunshine. On Wednesday, most of the showers will be to the north of us across likes of Murray and Aberdeenshire, but I expect we could just see one or two coming our way. But hopefully a lot of dry weather Wednesday, 21, feeling nice enough in the sunshine. A higher chance of us seeing some showers on Thursday, but again, it looks as if they'll be a bit more frequent further north. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Well, we're not just looking to the clouds at the moment, we're also watching the skies very closely because Marine One, the President's helicopter, is due any time now, Stephen.
Yeah, we understand it's on approach, so it won't be too long until it gets here. A short time ago, we saw the President and Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, they arrived at Lossiemouth. They left Air Force One and they're now on their way here, and they'll obviously have that dinner with the First Minister, John Swinney, when I'm sure they'll have an awful lot of things to discuss.
Yeah, it's not just all pleasure really, is it?
No, there's plenty of politics. This might be a private visit, but there's been plenty of politics. Lots about energy, it has to be said, in the last few days as well, talking about coming to the oil capital of Europe. When he spoke about Aberdeen, he doesn't have much love, obviously, for the windmills.
The windmills, as he keeps calling them, yes, he's mentioned them quite a few times.
Absolutely, and we've seen a number of protests, and actually, we're actually seeing a protest at the moment just off the coast here. It looks like a bit of a game of cat and mouse with someone flying, it looks like a Palestinian flag just off the coast here. Plenty of protests, plenty of supporters, as I said before, though, for President Trump in this area as well, what he's brought to the region in terms of the economic boost. But we will see tomorrow whether those protests continue. But as I say, in the next few minutes, we're hoping that perhaps Marine One will arrive, and then we will get that course opening tomorrow. Now, over the last few days, there's been a lot of discussions around the politics of this. We've had the EU-US deal, and there's been a wide range of topics, I think, discussed today, which is quite interesting. Obviously, the situation in Gaza that we have seen, whiskey tariffs and everything really in between. But I do think it's interesting that he's mentioned so much on energy, and I think that is deliberate, it has to be said. He isn't just saying this because he doesn't want to actually make an imprint on that. So that'll be interesting to see if that's brought up in their discussion tonight.
All right, Stephen, many thanks for that. Well, shortly, the President Trump will be sitting down to dinner with the Prime Minister and the First Minister, amongst others, to end off what has been quite a day. And remember, as Stephen said, this is supposed to be a private visit by the US President. We'll be back here tomorrow with all the comings and goings of his opening of his new golf course here at the Menny Estate. From all of us, a very good night.